Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 3 of What Woke Looks Like. I am your host, Yolanda, the Spiritualist Hops, and tonight we have a wonderful show in store for you. I am so excited to welcome to the stage Professor Tyrone Goodwin of the Goodwin Institute and Believe the God in You. But before I tell you any more about this wonderful guest, we're going to pause and pay homage to the Female Solution, thanking them for the opportunity for this beautiful, beautiful platform and for the global exposure that they are bringing to podcasts like mine and so many others.
Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
And we're back. I want to tell you a little bit about this wonderful guest that I have this evening. This is Professor Andreal Tyrone Goodwin, a retired public school educator, musician, and spiritual advisor. He is known by many as Professor T. Born and raised in South Georgia, much like myself, Tyrone is a spiritual father in the African spiritual traditions and a hoodoo practitioner, among many, many other things. He is a proud member of the Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated and founder of the Goodwin Foundation of Infinite Learning. And might I add, he has also been my personal spiritual mentor for the last 5 years. I cannot tell you how excited I am to hear from him today. And we want to welcome Professor Tyrone Goodwin to the stage.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
How are you?
I am doing amazing, and I am just so thankful that you are here and that you agreed to come and talk with me today. Now, it's not like we don't talk all the time, but
Right.
This is a little bit different. This is a different setting, a different stage. As you know, the name of the podcast is What Woke Looks Like. I have hand-selected individuals like yourself who embody the true meaning and spirit of the woke culture. Okay, so you're not just here by chance. This is divinely orchestrated, and I know that you're going to drop some amazing nuggets of wisdom for us here today about what it really, really means, to be woke.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, let's dig right in. Okay.
Okay.
I want to talk a little bit about, and I've told everyone that you are, of course, from South Georgia, raised like me. But I want to go a little bit deeper than that. Would you mind sharing a little bit about your upbringing with us?
Sure. As you've already said, I was born and raised in South Georgia mostly. Some of my childhood was spent in South Florida with my father's family. Mostly raised and reared by my grandmother, who taught me a lot of things. She taught me a lot about the Bible. She taught me a lot about church. She taught me a lot about healing and spiritual healings. And a lot of things that she did, I paid very close attention to. A lot of the wisdom that she gave me, I held on to it. She and I would have very, very extensive talks about spirituality and wisdom. I can remember one particular time I was probably about 12 or 13, and I was having these major struggles with my identity,
Mm.
my sexual identity,
Okay.
and no way had spoken these words to her, but she just called me one day out of the blue. I was probably about
Mm-hmm.
12 or 13. She just called me
Mm-hmm.
one day out of the blue and into her room. She told me, she said, sit here and let me tell you something. And I sat down next to her and she
Mm-hmm.
said, you can only be who God made you. Don't try to be anybody else. Just
Ooh.
be who you are. And those words, those few sentences changed my life at an early age. Could you imagine? Yeah, could you imagine, in the early 80s, feeling a certain type of way and feeling like you're the only person that feels like that?
Right, right, right.
And
Exactly.
your very wise grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
sets you free.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very life-changing experience for me. My mom and my father. My mom was always present, a very nurturing woman,
Mm-hmm.
a really good provider,
Mm-hmm.
always present. But her and my dad were always off and on. I can
Mm.
remember from my
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I was always off and on. Mom mostly present, dad not always as present.
Right.
And he was my dad was an educator. And uh, as I got older and got to know him, I figured out that he was a good man, you know,
Mm.
um,
Okay.
and
Okay.
learning that everybody was doing the best that they could. But overall, I had a pretty interesting childhood.
It sounds like it. Now, I do kind of want to go back really quickly because you said something key and I stuck a pin in it.
Uh huh.
When you said that it took you a while to see that he was a good man, tell me a little bit more about that. Was it one of those things where the reputation he had kind of garnered, uh, kind of painted him in a negative light? Or was that something that you had just internalized yourself because he and your mom were kind of, off and on?
Oh, that's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
father had an excellent reputation here in my hometown. Everywhere I would
Mm-hmm.
go, people would say, "Your dad was my teacher. I love
Yes.
your dad. Your dad was my
Yes.
favorite teacher. You
Yes.
look just like him. You act just like him." So
Yes.
his reputation here was really, really good. What made me form a personal opinion of him as not being such a good father was sometimes my mother being disgruntled about him. I
Okay.
can remember asking her certain things about him, and and she would probably not answer. She would probably say, "Leave me alone," or not here.
I don't
you
want to talk
know,
about that right now.
yeah, and she would say, "You just," and I can remember one particular story that I'd like to share.
Mm-hmm.
One particular
Sure.
story I can remember asking her one time about my dad, and she told me, she said, one night he went missing. This is when we were living in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and she couldn't find him anywhere. So she, stumbled across a diviner, a soothsayer. And
Mm-hmm.
she said, and she sat down and got a reading from this lady, and this lady told her, if you want to know where your husband is, I'll never forget this. If you want to know where your husband is, you need to go down to the Melody Bar. And don't be shocked at what you see him doing. And it was a bar in Pompano Beach, Florida called Melody Bar. And she told me
Okay.
that she went down to the Melody, and sure enough, he was in there. And I asked, I was like, well, what was he doing? And all she would say was, hmm. You know, so her responses to my questions about him made me feel a certain type of way about him, if that makes sense.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand because she really didn't elaborate. It was just kind of, she made some implications and
Uh-huh.
just kind of left that open ended somewhat.
Right.
And
Hmm.
so you kind of filled in the blanks for yourself as any child would, because what do we do when we're children? We use our imaginations, right?
Right, right, right,
Use
right,
our
right. Mhm.
imaginations.
Mhm.
I see that Empress Queen 229 is speaking to us. She's saying good evening.
Good
So we
evening.
have some people that are speaking, saying good hello family.
All right.
Um, so it's funny that you say that because I think that is so quintessential Black family.
Mm-hmm.
That's the communication style. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's no communication.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is left and subject to interpretation.
Exactly.
And I can't help but wonder if that doesn't somewhat change the trajectory of our paths,
Mm.
because we're left with so many questions. We
Mm.
never really get clear answers because everything's considered so taboo.
Mm-hmm.
And we end up having to try to find our own way. How fortunate were you to have your grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
who essentially was sitting on the sidelines?
Yes.
How fortunate were you to have her
Very,
to
very.
say to you, there's a lot going on right now, but
Mm-hmm.
here's what I need you to focus on. I need you to focus on yourself
Right. Mm-hmm.
and understand that all you can be is who God made you to be. Because here you are at, you said 12 or 13, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's middle school, right?
Yes.
We talk about, as educators, you and I talk about middle school kids, and we're like, oh,
Yes.
they're crazy. They're just crazy. But we say that in jest.
Yes.
However, we know that middle school children are trying to find their way.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to figure out, just who am I? I'm having these feelings, but I don't quite know what to do with them. Can
Yes.
you talk just a little bit more about that? Or if you feel so inclined, I would love to hear more.
Sure. At that age, I was really trying to fit in, and never could fit in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can I can remember I can remember specifically all of my friends having girlfriends, and I didn't have a girlfriend, so I decided to write a note. I decided to write a note to this girl, and saying, asking her, would you be my girlfriend? I like you. And she took the note. and she, and she took the note, and just literally just gave it back to me. And so for some reason that was an eye opener for me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, okay, you're trying to fit in somewhere that you're really not going to fit into. Like, it's like the universe was giving me a sign to, be
Right,
yourself. Just be who you are.
right.
And there was a teacher there, a really nice teacher, and she was a Caucasian lady, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And she would pull me in sometimes, and she would talk to me and tell me things like, being just pretty much the same thing my grandmother would say. Being who you are is okay to be who you are.
Yes.
You can't be anybody else but who you are. And so the more I would hear that, and the more I would rehearse that in my mind, the
Mm-hmm.
more comfortable I would become with myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Being
Yeah.
authentically you.
Being authentically me. It makes me think of the song, um what would I do if I could feel, from the Wiz. You remember that song?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
it makes
do.
it makes me think of that a lot. If you can, how would it feel if you can look inside of yourself and be happy with what you
Yes,
see? You
yes,
know, and
yes.
and my grandmother and that teacher and the Creator God just helped me to look at myself, my authentic self, and
Mm-hmm.
be very happy with me.
I love that. I just love
Mhm.
every minute. I don't think people understand how powerful that is,
Mhm.
because to be able to be oneself and to not have to worry about changing facades,
Right.
putting the mask on, taking the mask off. How liberating is that in and of itself? And what
Exactly.
it does is it puts you smack dab in the midst of your sovereignty.
Yes. Yes, it does.
I got chills just thinking about it. I
Yeah.
really do.
Mm-hmm.
So take me on the journey, because okay, you raised in South Georgia now,
Mm-hmm.
Bible Belt,
Mm-hmm.
going to church,
Mm-hmm.
and I think somewhere in there you started playing piano.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Much like
Uh,
myself, we always had that in common, being
right.
musicians in the Black church.
That's right.
And, and so you're going through this journey. You're going to church.
Hmm.
I want to also look at your father's role in all of this,
Okay.
because there's a common misconception, I
Hmm.
think,
Hmm.
just from what I've heard and seen in society. There's a
Hmm.
common misconception surrounding Black fathers and how they do not accept their sons
Hmm.
when they choose to embrace being their true selves.
Hmm.
What was that like, that dynamic? Regardless of the fact that he was in and out,
Hmm.
you all had a relationship of some sort.
Well, it didn't bother me at all. It didn't bother me. My dad was also an author. And by that time, by the time I was getting older and, in my late teens and
Uh-huh.
early 20s, he had
Yes.
authored a book called The Meeting Tree by Jesse Goodwin. I think it's still available on Amazon.
Oh,
And,
wow.
I read the book several times.
Uh-huh.
And by his description of his own life,
Mm-hmm.
and the characters that were in the book, I knew immediately by reading his words, even though we didn't have a conversation face to face or we didn't
Mm-hmm.
exchange words. I knew immediately that by reading his words that he wasn't a judgmental person. um I knew that however you know I presented myself, that he would be accepting of it.
And so you never had that fear at
No.
all?
Mm-mm, no, because I was so comfortable. I was like, I grew up in a family that's not homophobic. I grew up in a
Yes.
family that's not as judgmental about people as you would think, as other people seem to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
always comfortable. Even my mother, would tell me, I know you, I know exactly who you are. You don't have to explain yourself to me. My mother's, it was just, it was normal.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I love that for you, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think it's so important that parents hear that message.
Yeah.
Parents and young people who are struggling with their identity, and
Hmm.
parents who are struggling to wrap their heads around their child having an identity that is not considered quote unquote traditional,
Hmm.
so to speak. That's so important. So okay, so take me on down the winding road here.
Hmm.
Um, you're comfortable with your identity.
Hmm.
You know your parents accept you. It
Hmm.
kind of reminds me of the opening credits for A Different World. I know
Yeah.
my parents love me.
Hmm.
Stand behind me, come what may. That's
Uh-huh.
what it reminds me of.
Okay. So, um, I asked my mom on one Christmas to buy me a keyboard. You remember
Hmm.
when keyboards became popular?
Yes, I do.
I
Yes.
had yeah, I had taken a few piano lessons, but I really wanted to learn how to stretch out and play by ear.
Hmm.
So my mother, she bought me a keyboard, and I learned. She said, "If I buy you this keyboard, you better learn." So I learned, and my grandmother is the person who encouraged me to go play for a church, because I never
Hmm.
really wanted to, but her church needed a musician,
Okay.
and she encouraged me. And it was an AME church. She encouraged me to go there and play, and I did, and that put me on a oh my God, that put me on a journey. Um, of creativity that you could never imagine. I came into contact with people, with other musicians around here who were playing, and of course, in the musician community, especially in church, most of the musicians and the choir directors and all of them have an alternative lifestyle.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I met a couple, and they were teaching me so much so fast.
Hmm. 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 You just took off like a rocket, didn't you? Just
Oh my God. They were teaching me so much so fast. It was like, concerning certain things, the scales were dropping off my eyes. And anyway, I ended up at Albany State
uh-huh.
with one of my very best friends. I ended up at Albany State, and there were some things that I knew about the lifestyle, but then there were a whole lot of other things that I did not know. When I got to
Yeah.
Albany State, I learned what drag queens were. I
Mm.
learned what transgender was.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting about that is as I began to get exposed to all of these things, I went into a shell. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I went into this very, very, very dark place. Um,
Ah.
I didn't know how to I didn't know how to handle that
Okay.
socially.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know because I was, of course, you're the child of a teacher. I'm a child of a teacher. The
Mm-hmm.
children, the teachers have certain expectations. And
Mm-hmm.
then I knew I wanted to become an educator. I didn't know how that was going to relate to who I wanted to be as a
Mm-hmm.
professional.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I sort of stepped back from it, and
Mm-hmm.
I took on that role of, oh, okay, I'm going to be saved. I'm going to be sanctified. I'm going to be Holy Ghost filled.
Ooh.
Um, and not let this be a part of who I am. And if I become a part of this community, it's gonna be in the dark. It's gonna be in my house, and nobody gonna know about it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like people are just gonna forget about it. I went
Mm-hmm.
through that stage, and it was horrible.
So would you equate that to, in spirituality, we talk about like a dark night of the soul? Would you say that that was your dark night of the soul?
That was one of the places that I definitely needed shadow work. Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. Which is which is unique because I feel as if most of us, um, and this is just what I'm thinking,
Hmm.
most of us go through that earlier. A lot of us go through it earlier, but it was like you went through your levels of comfortability early, but then kind
Yes.
of it was almost like you went backwards in a way.
Well, I became comfortable with who I am, but I wasn't comfortable with who other people were expressing themselves to be around me, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. Um,
Okay, okay, I
mhm,
got you. I got you. Um, okay, so tell me this. Once you got to that point, you were going through this. What was the moment that you would say the defining moment for you awakening? Because you go through the dark night of the soul, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
we know that on the other end of that is an
mhm.
awakening.
Oh
So,
yeah.
what was the path that you took for that?
Was like the universe giving me an open rebuke, like the exposure that I did not expect. I was dating this guy after I had graduated college, and I started teaching, and I was dating this guy, and he was a drug addict, and I thought in my in my undeveloped mind, I thought that we had something like love.
Yeah, you thought
um
it was real.
I thought it was real, and
Hmm.
he was
Hmm.
dating someone else, and I left home one morning and went to work.
Hmm.
Came home, and my neighbor asked me, "Did you tell that guy
Hmm.
and his girlfriend that they could get stuff out of your house?" I was like, "No." I was like, I can tell anybody to get anything out of my house." He said, "Well,
Hmm.
they grab your television and your microwave and this and that and all of that." I said, "You stood there and watched them." He's like, "They told me that you told them to come here and get it." So,
Oh
so
no.
yeah, so something clicked in me emotionally and mentally. And I
Okay.
and I and I went to address that, and I addressed it in the most extreme way. I was making all kind of threats and all this type of thing. Well, guess what? Here comes the police, and I'm arrested, and I go to jail. And this experience for me, the awakening moment that I had. I don't even know if I can find words to describe it,
Okay.
but it made me look at me for who I was. It,
Mm.
it made me understand me, every part of me, not just the good, but
Right.
also what people would consider to be the bad.
The shadow.
Um,
The shadow
the, the,
aspects.
the shadow aspects,
That's it.
exactly. And in that moment, I knew that if I was going to move forward, if I
Mm-hmm.
was going to step out of that jail cell, if I
Mm-hmm.
was going to step back into my classroom, if I was going to face my family, if I was going to face my friends, that at that point I had to be whole and complete with
Yes.
who I am on the inside of me.
Yes.
I had to find the God that's in here, you
Yes.
know, and
Yes.
not look for God vertically, because it was
Right.
going to take all of the strength that I could muster from myself in here
Right.
and who
Right.
I knew that who I knew that I was created to be, to
Yes.
move forward.
And when you look back on the journey
Mm-hmm.
from grandmama all the way up until that point, you had been being conditioned to believe the God in you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Had you not?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You had been. She set the stage for that.
She did.
Had it not been for her her infinite wisdom and
She did.
guidance, you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be able to get to that point. Naima Latif is saying, that reminds me to tell my neighbors to call me if they ever see anybody taking a TV out of my house.
She better.
That's a good one, Naima. Right. Ditto that. Okay.
Right.
All of us will make sure that we have our neighbors call us. Empress Queen 229 is saying powerful. It's very powerful.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm.
So the foundation had been laid.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
For you. And
Yes.
so you went through, you had your dark night of the soul, you went through your awakening, and all of this is why you're still, being shaped and molded into the person who you are today, because you were still a relatively young man at that time.
I was very young. And it was also at the moment, if you would allow me to add, it was
Okay.
also in that moment that I learned to perfect my hoodoo skills. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I wanted to get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man with a plan is saying, LOL, my neighbors would have called the police immediately. Okay, so you have those types of neighbors. I find the older your neighbors are, the more inclined they are to call the police for you. Exactly. They don't even wait for you. Exactly. But so that caused you to hone in on those skills that even though your grandmother had already kind of cultivated some of that when you were younger, you just hadn't tapped in yet, had you?
I just had not tapped in because I did not exactly need it for myself. But at the moment that I needed it for myself, I'll never forget. I was, you remember back then when terroristic threats became very popular, it was a big thing. You were going to get it,
Right. Of course.
Yeah. You were going to get it. And I had a couple of mentors, and they were telling me what to do. And at first I was saying to myself, well, maybe this stuff isn't going to work out. But I followed instructions exactly. Right? Exactly. Like I was giving them. And we had to, go before the DA and all of this kind of stuff. And before I went, I dressed myself very well. And I kid you not, we got in front of the DA, and they couldn't even look me in my eye. They were fidgety. They couldn't get things straight. And, eventually they said, we're just going to let this go. Y'all settle this amongst yourselves, and we're going to let this go. And something, I had another awakening. I went, ding! I'm good at this. I'm good at this.
Okay.
And if I can help myself, I certainly
can help somebody else.
Right.
Right. Exactly. I love that. That. So in the midst of all of this that's happening, and we're going to pause in just a second for another quick commercial break. But when we come back, I definitely want to delve a little deeper into what happened in the midst of the awakening. Were you being supported, or were you meeting some resistance from these different support groups? You've got your family, you've got your church family, you've got and I don't know, were you in a fraternity at that time yet or not?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm curious to know, and I want to hear a little bit more about it when we come back from commercial. I want to hear a little bit more about who was being supportive and who potentially was not.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because we know that there are always two sides of that coin, right? And it's normally the ones you think that are going to be supportive that are not.
Right.
So when we come back, I want to talk about that.
Okay, sure.
All right. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair.
Hey family, this is Charles Humphrey of MCH Publishing, and I'm here with Asada, and we at the Soulful Chicago Book what?
This is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, slamming.
We getting down in Hyde Park. Just run it down, my sister. Just tell us, for the people, a little bit about what we're doing here today and why.
You know, this is the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair, and this month is very important. I feel like we don't give it the type of recognition that it needs. But beyond that, I do all things literary, and we have so many ancestors that have taken a tradition of writing and done great things. Well, we have those of us that are carrying on that tradition, and nobody knows about them until now. So the Soulful Chicago Black History Book Fair is allowing us to tell our stories according to ourselves for our own benefit, and it's just beautiful. I mean, she could have been here today if you wasn't here, but if you were, it's been amazing. People came in consistently, children, and we have children's authors, we have nonfiction authors, we have fiction authors. This is really good, and it's about taking our own power in our own hands and doing what we do on the literary tip, though.
Right.
I gotta work, but I can't help it. Everything going too smooth. Not just about bring my African shit like this. Bring in the African shit.
All right, and we are back. Thank you so much. So we're gonna bring Professor Goodwin back to the stage, and we're gonna finish this wonderful conversation that we're having, because I can't wait to get the rest of the tea. I know it's piping hot. All right, Professor, there you are. You ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
I can't wait to get this tea. Go ahead. I want to hear the rest.
So I would like to address my fraternity. I'm a very proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated.
Yes, you are.
I was mostly attracted to that fraternity because of our founders. They were very spiritual men. Yes, one of them in his later life even became a pastor. So I was attracted for that reason. One of the reasons. So when it came to me being open about who I am and the things that I do and my beliefs, at first, in my very first chapter that I was a member, because now I'm a member. Of course, you would know that I'm a member of a different chapter now. They were very accepting. The chapter I pledged was, multicultural. Yeah, like there were Caucasian people and Black people when I pledged. When I pledged, so everything was pretty open. It wasn't until later that when I joined another chapter, and the brothers were a little different, if I could say it like that. And I'm trying to be very tactful. Okay,
politically correct. I got you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And they have ideas and goals that I don't particularly align with.
Okay.
But I still participate as much as I can. I still participate financially.
Yes.
But I don't let what they say, even if sometimes they say things openly, I don't let what they say affect me in any type of way. Like a few years ago, we had a brother to pledge, and after he pledged, he married a guy. And it was just like the biggest explosion.
Oh, really? Oh,
I never told you about that.
I don't think you told me about that. No.
It was, it was a big issue.
Okay.
In one of the meetings, and I just left and I prayed.
Okay.
I prayed because it's but they have their own thing going. And it doesn't represent the fraternity as a whole, because even though we're all inclusive. We are. The only thing that are in our bylaws is that we can't pledge transgenders.
Okay,
Everybody must
that
be a
is a
male.
part of the bylaws. Okay,
Right. Mhm.
okay. So at the time that you had to run in with the law,
Mhm.
your legal troubles were ensuing. Do you feel as if you got like that support that you needed from them?
Oh
Because
yeah.
I know that that's always important. What
Mhm.
about with family? Family was
Yes.
trying their best to help, which is not
Oh.
surprising based on everything you've told me about your family,
Uh.
your father being non-judgmental, and,
Mhm.
and the list goes on. Talk to me, because at this time you would have been a musician in the church.
Mhm. No
What?
one in the church ever said a word to me about anything.
Okay.
Mm-mm. And I would figure is because I don't know. I feel like I've carried myself in a certain way to 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 gain a certain respect from people.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
no one ever said a word, not one
Okay.
word. Hmm.
Okay. Nobody ever said a word. Okay.
Mm-mm.
Did you ever have any um or pass any words, or were any words ever said to you regarding your sexuality in the
No.
church? In the church.
Well, of course I've been in meetings and people have said things about the LGBTQAI plus community,
Mm-hmm.
um and maybe not directed towards me, but possibly very well could have been about me.
Mm-hmm.
but but no one bold enough to come to my face and say anything.
Right. Right.
One thing that I've learned, and this from being a musician,
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't want to say this and it sounds wrong.
Just say it.
Okay. People need us,
Yes, they do. This
especially
is
that
true.
environment for
Mm-hmm.
them to try, for them to want to develop the energy that they feel like they need to for their services to be successful. They depend on us.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
really do. They depend
Mm-hmm.
on us. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
taking that for granted and I'm not being arrogant about it, but they
Mm-hmm.
depend on us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're special people.
Very special. Very, very, very
Musicians are
special.
very special people. Yes. And
Yes.
there are not many of us, especially in South Georgia.
Right.
Mhm,
Right. No, no, there really are not.
mhm,
Um, so as I'm sitting here listening to you talk about that, I wanted to bring up a slide that I found on your Facebook page, and I love this. And no, actually, I got this off Instagram.
mhm,
Correction, Instagram,
uh-huh.
and it talks about expansion. And would you mind just reading that really, really
I
quickly?
can't see it. Could you read it
You
for me? I'm
can't say,
sorry.
sure. I'm
Okay.
happy to read it for you. So this was your expansion mantra, because I really think that as you're talking about where you came from, where you were at the last that moment where we kind of stopped.
Uh-huh.
You're coming out of the legal situation. You were
Hmm.
expanding throughout.
Yes. Yes.
You were expanding. And
Hmm.
so this mantra says, I believe in my expansion.
Hmm.
I believe in the expansion of my loved ones. I believe that everything good that I put my energy toward expands.
Yes.
You
Yes.
were you were expanding at that
Hmm.
time. But
Yes.
I could imagine that you were kind of maybe thinking to yourself, like, okay, now where's all of this headed? Because
Hmm.
we got a lot going on here.
Hmm. Hmm. And it was headed here to the place that I'm at now. Um, Hello.
I'm here. I'm
Okay.
here.
Yeah. It
Listen,
was
I'm listening.
it was all expanding to this place that I am in now, because I'm gonna tell you, I thought that I was going to, be teaching in public schools until I was 65 or
Mm-hmm.
66.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
those were the examples that I saw.
Right.
And
Right.
and as I began to expand, my name began to expand. People started looking for me. People
Oh
started
wow.
wanting me. People started, you know, needing me, and the
Mm-hmm.
expansion became so great that my spiritual expansion, the wisdom that I've been given, the talents that I have became so
Mm-hmm.
great to where I was being sought after, not just in this small area, but I catapulted to the city, to Atlanta, and met a
Mm-hmm.
very nice woman. Her name was Nita, who owned, and she still owns it, Grandma's Candle Store, who
Mm-hmm.
offered me a position in there to come and work part time on weekends.
Okay.
And she exposed me to the world. Literally, she exposed me to the world. My name became known to people in New York, the people in California, the people in
Mm-hmm.
Florida.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I would even have people from overseas that would come to that store to see me. What
Mm-hmm.
I had been through, the pain and the agony of,
Mm-hmm.
and the judgments that I
Yes.
received from people, if it was spoken or not spoken, it
Right.
developed something in me that I can't even explain. People can sit with me,
Mm-hmm.
and the things that I could share with them,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know where it comes from sometimes. I know it's not me.
Right.
I can see them. I can see people around them.
Mm-hmm.
I could call names of people that they've been with or probably will be
Right.
with.
Yes.
Um, all of that led to this moment here, to where when it came time for me to leave public education,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I'm not just gonna make it off this little bitty check. They're gonna give me. I have not
Yeah.
missed a beat. I have not missed a beat. People
I know
take
you
care of
have.
me.
But that is
People.
because you walked in your calling.
It's because I walked in my calling. People literally take care of me.
Yes.
Honestly. Hmm.
Yes, I know. As they doggone sure well should.
Right.
Okay. They should take care of you. They
And I'm
should take
grateful.
care
I'm
of you.
very grateful. Yes.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes. That brings me to another quote,
Okay.
and this is from the class that I took from you.
Hmm.
Hey, Brandy is coming in. Brandy Williams is coming in saying, "Hey, y'all. Hey,
Hey,
Brandy."
Brandy.
She's another one of our tribe. Okay,
Yeah.
come on in. But one of the first classes that I took from you, and guys, I've taken classes from the Goodwin Institute just in cultivating my own spiritual gifts that I didn't know what to do with. I was not fortunate to have family, biological family. Let me say that, to cultivate those gifts. But I was fortunate enough to find other family. And Professor Goodwin, I consider like family,
Yes,
and
of
he
course.
helped me to grow just tremendously. I mean, I'm just not kidding. I can't. Oh, words just can't even begin to describe. So I wanted to share this, and this is a journal prompt. You're giving us a journal prompt. But
Hmm.
at the end of the journal prompt, you said, it is your God given right to be an intuitive.
Mm,
We all are. It is our God given right to exercise spiritual gifts.
mm,
We should
mm,
never be an offender of the innocent because we may have a gift. That's what you
Yes,
said. We may have a
yes,
gift. We must keep our energy as pure as possible and never seek war
yes,
or battles with other
yes.
individuals. We
Never.
should live and let live.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's what you said. That's
Exactly.
what you said.
Hmm.
And
And I stand on that.
you said,
I stand on it.
come
Hmm.
on, 10 toes down. You
Hmm.
standing on business with that one.
Yeah. Hmm.
But in exercising your spiritual gifts, and I know that there was a point where you kind of broke away from traditional religious practices.
Hmm.
Because going back to talking about being a music minister and
Hmm.
what have you, what was it that caused the shift, that caused you to kind of break away from that and really just focus on, your practice?
I had a dream. I had a very, very another awakening moment, a dream.
Okay.
I was in Atlanta, and I laid down one night, and I dreamed that I was standing on a corner,
Mm-hmm.
and someone shot a gun at me, and I could see the bullet in slow motion coming across my face. And I woke up. It was a very intense type of dream. You know those
Right.
type of dreams.
Yes.
And I woke up from that dream not understanding it, and was seeking advice, and someone told me, "Oh, that's a dream of awakening. You're
Mm.
being awakened into something else. You need to do what you feel led to do." And that's what
Mm-hmm.
did it. That dream, that gunshot dream. Like
Mm-hmm.
I heard the noise, pow,
Right.
and I saw the bullet just slowly crossing my face. And an elder told me it means that you need to go on to what's next. And that's what I
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You just need to move on. And
Hmm.
so, was that the moment where you said, "Okay, I'm hanging up these piano keys. I'm not. I won't play for the choir anymore. I'm gonna move on and
At,
focus on my practice full time."
at that moment, I did that. I wasn't
Okay.
playing for anyone. I wasn't attending the same church. I could, oh my God, like I could go on to church and I could just start seeing things that I knew other people weren't seeing. Um,
Oh wow.
it- you know,
Mm-hmm.
it was just like every time, and even now, sometimes when I step into church, the only
Mm-hmm.
thing I could see is the Council of Nicaea. I could see people
Oh
gathering.
wow, that's powerful.
Yeah, I could spiritually, I could just see people gathering, trying to figure out how other people should live spiritually. You
Yes.
know, hmm
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
And then knowing deep down inside that that's not what it's supposed to be about.
exactly.
And
Live and
so,
let live. Right. Hmm.
right,
Hmm.
going back to what you said, live and
Hmm.
let live. And then I think too, once you embrace your sovereignty, your
Hmm.
authenticity, it will not allow you to dwell in places that
Mm-mm,
are out of alignment with you.
mm-mm, no, no. Once you become who you are as a spiritual being, you're no longer going to ever align with what other people expect of you
Never,
spiritually. Never.
never.
Never. You couldn't even go back to it if you wanted to.
And
once you
I've
once you understand,
tried.
I'm, say what? I'm sorry.
I tried,
Yeah,
and I
we've all
couldn't do
tried.
it.
We've all tried. We've all tried. We've all
Yeah,
tried. But
yeah,
once you have that moment with spirit, that says, "Hey, you're okay. You're not crazy. This is what it is. Your gifts are real. Your talents are real. And I'm with you regardless.
yeah, yeah.
There's no judgment in that space. Once you have that experience, your life changes forever.
It changes forever. You
Mhm.
are no longer the same.
You're no longer the same. Mm-mm. You're no longer the same. Once you realize that you're not only worshiping a sovereign God, but on the
Hmm.
inside of you lives a sovereign God. That you are
Yes,
sovereign. That
yes,
you created everything that you see,
yes,
everything that's around you, every person, every object, every
yes,
animal, everything that's around you at that moment. You created it.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. That part.
Yes,
Yes,
it's a manifestation of your own thoughts and your own
yes,
feelings and your own
yes,
emotions. You're
yes.
manifesting every second of your life.
Yes, you are. Yes,
Mhm.
you are. Yes. Okay, come on and clock that T. Okay, just go ahead and just clock that because I think that that is the difference between embarking on a spiritual journey and holding on to religious doctrine.
Mhm.
Because what happens is when you embark upon that spiritual journey, you are fully allowed to be who you are.
Exactly.
The guilt, the condemnation, and the shame that is brought upon us by participating in more traditional means
Mhm.
of religious practices
Mhm.
is no longer there.
Mhm.
There's a certain amount of liberation that comes with that. Would you
Mhm.
agree?
I agree. I totally agree. I totally
Certain
agree.
amount of liberation that comes along with that.
Mhm.
So you made that complete segue,
Mhm.
and you haven't looked back.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
You haven't looked back.
No.
Because you could see things that a lot of people could not see. You were really, now in church, we say, you're being a prophet.
Mm-hmm.
But, same thing, prophet, spiritualist, reader, seer, it's all essentially one and the same.
Mm-hmm.
You could see things that other people couldn't see,
Mm-hmm.
and you couldn't unsee them. That was the key.
Right.
Oh, I saw it. Let me see if I can get it out of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
We got a couple of comments here. Brandy is saying, I think the hardest part for some people is the transition. It often involves separation from biological family members or even a spouse. It is the transition. That's exactly right, Brandy. And then Enlightened Southern Brother is saying Council of Nicaea, powerful, very powerful with that.
Yeah, every time we go into a church and you are a spiritual person, you are witnessing the Council of Nicaea.
You are. Yes, every time. And for those of you who don't know the Council of Nicaea, I'm going to have you Google it because we're not going to have enough time to go into it tonight. Empress Queen 229 is saying, I miss these powerful conversations. These types of conversations helped me get through some of my darkest times over the last 4 years. Grateful that you all reunited tonight for this conversation. Well, thank you so much. We're glad to be together.
Yes, we are.
So speaking of the Council of Nicaea, I'd like to play a clip that you sent me.
Okay.
I think this is a good time to do that.
Okay.
And I want us to just kind of touch on that before we get ready to close.
I, Roberta McCoy, given faith and stand in unity with the vision of Perfecting Church of sowing this seed of $1,000 plus $235 and receiving the blessings to come to all that participated.
Now that's only $1,200.
Yes.
Y'all not listening to what I'm saying. If you have 1,000 plus 1,000.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna work on the other 800.
Well, that ain't what I asked you to do.
Okay, that is not what he asked her to do. Okay, then. So let's delve into that for just a few moments, shall we?
Yes,
we got some laughter emojis coming up on the screen here.
So how much time do we have?
we got about 7 minutes. So I think we got enough time to at least start. Get started. We're gonna have to do a part 2. That's a given. We got to do a part 2.
Okay, great.
But go ahead, get it started.
For starters, I want to say this. It amazes me how people can take thousands of dollars, and of course we would know that man he has to be a millionaire. I'm quite sure his net worth is at least $2 million. He's a famous gospel singer.
Yes, he is.
It amazes me how people can take thousands of dollars to rich people, and their neighbor across the street cannot have shoes, or they can see a drug addict who hasn't eaten in months or weeks or days, and they're not offering them any type of help, but they feel so comfortable at the whim of someone saying, bring me 1,000 plus 1,000. They can feel so comfortable in doing that and never find themselves even sending $1 to St. Jude. I'll never understand that. Never in my life. Never. When the Jesus they believed in, that's what he practiced.
Yes.
I'll never understand that. But as far as the pastor is, this is where trauma starts. When you are openly rebuked for something as innocent, people are saying, "Oh, people are taken out of context." Well, I saw the whole thing. It's not out of context. When you are openly rebuked for something as simple as not getting in the line when you're supposed to, that's just trauma. The today's church is just full of trauma. And no one is trying to heal that. And that's, it's very concerning.
I think, and if I may piggyback off of what you just said, when you talk about church trauma and you said, today's church, it is today's church, but yesterday's church too.
Yes.
Brandy is saying this is so toxic. And the reason I say yesterday's church too is because years ago when I made the conscious decision to go to therapy for the first time, and this comes on the heels of me having been a therapist myself. But I mean, even therapists need therapists, and doctors need doctors, and lawyers might need a lawyer every now and then, right?
Right.
But I just remember one of the things that my therapist stuck a pin in about me as she is, unpacking me.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you have a tendency to try to brush past trauma that you've endured in your life.
Wow.
Like you won't acknowledge it. And when asked about it or asked to expound on it, you want to say, well, it's okay. And she said, I need you to sit with the fact it's not okay.
Wow.
It is not okay that he did that to that lady, because that lady came giving what she had. And what I stuck a pin in more than that was the fact that there was a small child standing right next to her. And he was just, how when you're in your happy place as a child and you sway back and forth like this because you just feel so good about everything that's happening and your mama about to buy you a new toy. It was all of that written all over his face because he was so proud in that moment that he and his mother, aunt, whoever she was to him, were standing before the pastor, who we know they respect and love, giving this love offering only to get turned away. So you have traumatized two people.
Yes.
And I think the other part of that pissed me off was the fact that you got the hecklers out there in the crowd going, like it's funny, like it's okay. That mess wasn't funny.
No,
it wasn't cute at all. But we have to be careful about this in our churches. I feel as if for those who are still a part of the church community, because many of us are still out here processing church hurt.
Yes.
And goes all the way back to when I was 15 years old and pregnant and they put me out. I've overcome it somewhat, but every now and then it comes up. It seeps into the deep recesses of my memory. And I remember a time that I wasn't damn it good enough to sit on their pews and to walk across the altar of the house of God.
I remember those days, yeah.
You remember those days? Well, listen, we are coming down to the end of this segment, and I feel like we are just getting started.
I'm telling you.
There is so much more for us to unpack here. I wanted to just share, I believe I had another slide that I wanted to share here really quickly just before we leave. And here is something that you said, and I want to leave these words with everyone here in the studio tonight and those that may watch later on. You said, if I am still and listen, Spirit will speak to me, for me, with me.
Yes, about me.
And about me. Come on and hear somebody.
Definitely.
Those words are powerful. But you have to be willing to know Spirit for yourself.
Yes.
I'm not talking about what's written in a book by 47 scholars hired by King James.
Right.
Who were all colonizers looking to enslave people.
Yes.
I'm not talking about that spirit. I'm talking about the spirit that resides within.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about tonight. And that's what you represent. You are the true embodiment of what woke looks like.
Wow.
I don't care what they say. You will always be that. You are what we call a revolutionary insomniac, because there are times where these things do keep us up at night.
Wow. You're too kind.
You know how I feel about you. I
Thank
want
you.
to take this next comment. Brandy is saying yes, she could definitely recall being snubbed and never really welcome. And she and I have talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
People give you that look. You're nice looking. You come in, you're looking good. You smell good,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
now they looking down the nose at you.
Right. Right.
What have we come to? How can we move our community past this?
Right. Well, I'm just, be an example. Like I went, I went through a lot of health illnesses, blindness, kidney disease,
Yes.
and people, the church never laid hands on me, never prayed for me, but they watched me shake myself out of that
Whew.
because I believe the God in me. It wasn't being anointed with oil, standing in a prayer line. It
Yes.
was me being by myself, meditating, listening to what Spirit had to say to me, with me, about me.
Yes, yes. My brother, my mentor, my advisor, I cannot thank you enough for coming to talk to us tonight.
My pleasure.
I'm going to let everybody know that I'm going to have him back. We're going to do a part 2.
Good.
We're going to do a part 2. Thank you so much to all who stopped by to share this time with us. Very powerful conversation. Thanks to the Female Solution. We'll look forward to seeing everyone next Tuesday night, same time, same bat time, same bat channel, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Yolanda, Yo the Spiritualist Hops, and this has been the What Woke Looks Like podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Have a blessed night.
Good night, everybody.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.